Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village nestled between rolling green hills, lived two brothers, Omar and Hamza. Their father, a wise and kind man, had recently passed away, leaving behind a mysterious map and a note that read, "For my sons. The greatest treasure lies not at the end of the journey, but within the journey itself." Omar, the elder brother, was thoughtful and calm, known for his clever solutions to tricky problems. Hamza, the younger, was full of energy and courage, always ready for an adventure. Together, they were a perfect team. The map was old and crinkled, showing a winding path through the whispering woods, over the sleeping giant mountains, and into the echoing caves. This was the path to their father's hidden treasure. With a small bag of bread and a flask of water, they set off at sunrise. The whispering woods lived up to its name. The trees seemed to murmur secrets as the wind rustled through their leaves. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the bushes. Hamza instinctively grabbed a sturdy branch, ready to defend them. But Omar put a hand on his shoulder. "Wait, Hamza," he whispered, pointing to a family of badgers startled by their presence. "They are more scared of us than we are of them. Let's walk around them quietly." Hamza lowered his branch, and they tiptoed past, learning their first lesson. Not all challenges require a fight. Sometimes wisdom is the better weapon. Next came the sleeping giant mountains. The path was steep and treacherous, covered in loose stones. Hamza, with his strong legs and fearless spirit, led the way, testing each foothold and pulling Omar up the most difficult parts. At one point, Omar's foot slipped and he dangled precariously over a ledge. "I've got you," Hamza shouted, his voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. He dug his heels in and pulled his brother back to safety. "Your bravery saved me," Omar said, his heart pounding. "And your steady mind keeps us on the right path," Hamza replied with a grin. They realized how much they needed each other. Finally, they reached the entrance to the echoing caves. It was dark and cold inside, and their footsteps echoed eerily. They lit a torch, and the wavering light cast long, dancing shadows on the cave walls. The map led them through a maze of tunnels until they reached a large cavern. In the center stood an old wooden chest. Their hearts pounded with excitement. This was it. Hamza rushed forward to open it, but Omar stopped him again. "Look," he said, pointing to an inscription on the lid. It read, "True wealth is not what you keep, but what you share." They looked at each other, understanding dawning in their eyes. Slowly, they lifted the heavy lid. Inside, the chest wasn't filled with gold or jewels. Instead, it was packed with seeds of every kind: corn, wheat, vegetables, and fruit trees, along with detailed books on farming and building. There was also a single, heavy bag of gold coins. A final note from their father lay on top. "Use this to build a better life, not just for yourselves, but for everyone in our village. Your courage and wisdom are the real treasure." Tears welled up in their eyes. They understood now. The journey had tested their courage, sharpened their wisdom, and strengthened their bond. The real treasure wasn't the gold. It was the opportunity to help their community thrive. The brothers returned to their village not just as treasure hunters, but as leaders. They used the seeds and knowledge to create lush gardens and fields, ensuring no one went hungry. They used the gold to build a school and a well, bringing education and fresh water to all. Omar's wisdom and Hamza's bravery had not only led them to a chest, but had also guided them to become the men their father knew they could be. They learned that the greatest adventure is living a life of purpose. And the most valuable treasure is a heart full of generosity and love. And so the two brothers lived happily. Their father's legacy alive, not in a hidden chest, but in the smiling faces and prosperous lives of their entire village. Thank you so much for joining us on this little adventure. If you enjoyed the story, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to our channel for more tales to warm your heart. We'll see you next time.